Hello, Echo Units. My name is Rox Titan. Today I'm going to be looking at another match that went between Chaos and There Is No Team. So let's get into it. This match was played, I think, during week 6, I believe, VRML. If I might be mistaken there. Let's see what we got here. So first play we got team. There Is No Team controlling the disc, moving it well, forcing the disc gets stolen and cleared out by Dano McFabulous. You see a chain comes off from There Is No Team. They're able to collect the disc. And this is something that's not super exciting, but I see a lot of teams, even at the high level, making this mistake. And you can see that once the disc gets cleared, Tint immediately has their boost together. And you can see Gygasm here is able to stun up this chain. So this chain is not in a hurry. They don't have anybody. They have one player alone here, one player alone here. And there's two players here that are both being stunned out by Gygasm. So this chain can take it slow. They can move slowly. You can notice their chain is not moving very fast. They're not getting a whole lot of pulls. They're not just like getting as many pulls as possible, trying to go as fast as possible to get to the disc. Because a lot of times what will happen when you try to do something like that is that you'll overshoot the disc. And so it's important on a team environment to know when you can take the slow chain and when you just need to be going as fast as possible to try to get back to goal. Because you can see they only took a couple pulls, like maybe like it looks like only like two pulls even until they stopped pulling and they knew they had the control. They knew they didn't have pressure and they were able to collect the disc at a reasonable speed, slow it down and move it back up the field and retake the offensive pressure they had. So just something that a lot of teams make mistakes on, and this team did really well, is knowing when you need to be racing, when you need to go as fast as possible with your boost, and when you can take it slow and have more control and be able to chase the disc better that way. Give yourself a little bit of extra seconds to read the disc, a little bit of extra leeway in when you can pull to get to the disc to recover it when you don't have pressure on. So it's really well done by a team or Team Tint. See clip 2. See Chaos moving up the field now. Make a pass back. It's good. You can see they're spreading out on the floor. Unfortunately here, they're going to make a pass and is able to read the pass, collect it and able to clear it out. So definitely a good defensive play by Tint. You can see here, though, once they make this backpack is really good because you can see at the very beginning of the clip, they make the pass to their forward man. This guy, his only two passes, he's got one guy here who's stunned. He's got one guy here, and he's got one guy even further back you can see on the map who looks like he's on other side double diamond. So he doesn't really have another offensive pass with him. And you can see this stack gets together. They're starting to pressure him. And so he goes for the back pass. Instead of trying to push up, maybe go for a juke this, he just goes for the reset. He allows his teammates to get into a better positions because whenever you're attacking with a sort of a slower attack when you have possession, having your front man with a disc is usually not something you want to have unless you're at the point where you're trying to score immediately. So the only time you ever want your front man to have the disc is when you're passing it to them so they can take the shot on net. In this case, he got the pass down here. The goal was covered. And so he makes a smart choice, passes it back to his team, allows them to spread out, and they can get into a good position. They got a player on Pac-Man here waiting for this. This player's going to drop down, and then Farafo cuts right. Unfortunately, the one mistake they do make is that you can notice here, White Dragon's pressuring the disc. They've got one player, or Tint has a team that's a player who's back here. I think he's disconnected at this point. And you can see Haza is still able to position himself like right between these two players. So he's actually covering two people at once here. You can see, obviously, he's covering Farafo because he's just let go of him. But he's also cutting the lane between this player here, 77. Autistic Gamer 77. And he's able to dive at the pass once the pass gets made. So this is a mistake by Chaos in that they didn't... While they did have the good... they did have the good decision-making to pass back and reset the play and be able to spread out and move up. They didn't actually spread out enough. And so, especially when they have the man advantage because this player's crashed out, They let two players. They have one player pressuring the disc, one player in goal, and one player here covering two people. They could easily have Farafa move up this wall a little bit further, or he could pass up to the player up here who's also 76 is not, or 75. I'm sorry, isn't actually being covered at all. So just positioning a little bit too close together, and having this pass come from the side just kind of allowed Hazard to double cover, and they weren't spread out enough. Go to the next clip. See, the disc is cleared back down Pretty no boosts coming. Slow collection. He's got a teammate comes, and unfortunately, White Dragon's able to get the steal and slam it in. So it's pretty good pressure by White Dragon. But what happened here, and what I wanted to point out, is this player here. So when you're moving back here, you can see that this player. I mean, obviously the idea that Dano had was that he was gonna grab onto Cakester. Cakester was gonna clear the disc, and they were gonna boost after it. That's like I'm almost positive that's what was going through his head, and that's not entirely a bad idea. But because Cakester doesn't really have anywhere to clear it to, you can see these players. He doesn't have any open passes here, and he could just clear it to the side. But because he's got this pressure here, he's got to make a quick decision. And what would be better for Dano is if, like, a little bit back here, as soon as he saw that he was not going to catch up to White Dragon, he should have either gone left, top, bottom, basically anywhere else to create a passing lane, because there's no boost, and his two teammates should have let him know that it was only 2v1. So that he can spread out. They can make a pass either off to the side, up top, anywhere else, instead of being right in line with White Dragon, so that he's not actually an available pass. And you can easily 2v1, control the disc, maybe get a stun on White Dragon, then make the clear and boost. There's no reason, especially when you don't have any pressure here, to try and go immediately for the boost, immediately for the clear. So spreading out, taking the extra 1-2 passes just to acquaint yourselves and line up the shot. Look for an open clear, so that you're not just clearing it because he's got pressure on. He's not going to make a great clear if he does make one right now. As well as another thing that could happen is if he's going directly for the boost here, this player could also, even if they make the clear, because he's going directly for the boost while they're under pressure, White Dragon could also just stun them out and keep the boost there. And so the clear would happen, and maybe it's good, but the boost wouldn't actually come. And you can see that neither of Chaos's players are also really ready to receive a clear. Because you see 99 David's all the way. He's the furthest one back, so if a clear does make it through, he's the one who's most likely to get it. So going for the clear, definitely not the greatest option here. Just taking your time, spreading out, making sure you get one extra pass just to acquaint yourself, make sure you have an open clear, and make sure you're not getting stunned out when you try to get your chain together. All things that could have happened. Go to the next clip. You can see we got 40 seconds left, so this is important for this clip. 40 seconds left. Chaos is up by 3 points. If they want to go to overtime, Tint needs to get a 3-pointer here. They could theoretically go for a 2 and then go for a really quick other 2, but that's a lot harder to do, and especially since the disc is currently in a Chaos possession, is getting cleared out, I believe. That's really hard to do, and it's not really something you can expect to happen. But you can see Tint, they play it really well. You can see Hazza. They have one player go for the goalie, distracted him. If this shot had been a little bit more on, you can see the goalie was out of goal. He was not ready for this. He wasn't saving this pass, or he wasn't saving the shot if it was going in. Unfortunately, it was a little bit low, bounced off the shield. They're able to get the clear. Tint is able to recover it. They're able to take out. They take out the goalie, and the shot bounces it off the backboard. Really good play from Tint. You can see they played. They knew what they had to do, and you can tell they were communicating it because they had 2 players back, waiting for the clears, waiting for it to come up. So they were trying to. They had one player going for the goalie. You see once the disc gets covered. So they have 2 people waiting back to collect the clear, and they're slowly moving up. They're staying back. They're keeping to the outside of the bubble. They're playing really wide and only having one person at the bubble at a time, so they can punch the goalie to try and get this 3. And unfortunately, like that shot didn't make out, but it was well executed. They distracted the goalie. The goalie wasn't making that save. The shot was a little bit off, but it's still good play. You can see they're still staying back. They got still players back here waiting for the clear. You can see another clear happens. Players ready for it again. This time they send one more person in the bubble. They have one person down on the left too as well, waiting for in case the disc misses. He can also get it and reset it back to White Dragon over here. But it didn't need to because the second bounce did go in, and it was really good play from Tint, just setting it up and being able to get that 3 to send them in overtime. Next clip. This clip is during overtime actually, and so overtime is a pretty high pressure situation. It's a little bit harder to play, right? A lot of people. It's only 2 minutes long, and any goal automatically wins the game. So it's really good to be able to see Hazza here just taking his time, even though it's a high pressure situation. He's taking his time. He's not being pressured, so he doesn't have to force the pass. So he's waiting. He sees the open pass now that this player gets dragged out. He makes the pass through, and White Dragon's able to pass it up, and they're able to move forward with the disc. So it's always good whenever you make a decision, make a play, make a pass, make a shot, do anything in Echo Arena, you always want to make sure you have a reason to be doing it. And right now, Hazard doesn't have any reason to pass the disc. His teammates aren't super open. This teammate's kind of open, but he's got this stack here that's kind of close by. This player is kind of shadowing him, but not really applying pressure. He's got another player here in the bubble who's kind of being covered. He finally waits for the shot to be open, and as soon as he does get pressured, he does make the pass out. So good call from Hazo, waiting for pressure to happen, waiting for his teammates to get open, waiting for the play to develop, and then holding onto the disc and waiting for a good opportunity to make the pass and move it out. And instead of just clearing it to the tunnel like he could have here, maybe try to get past this player, it would have. I mean, like in this situation, it's probably wouldn't be too outlandish for the disc to be able to get past this player who's guarding tunnel. But instead, he waits for a more guaranteed play. And even though he's in overtime in a high pressure situation, he's able to hold the disc and wait for a good opportunity to show itself. So it's really good just awareness from Haza and waiting for the pressure to come before he does anything. And we'll go for the last clip here. You can see it's Chaos attacking the bubble of Tint. You can see Tint here. Pass the disc down. Offender gets stunned. They said the reset. Chaos moves in. And this time they're able to get the disc low and they're able to make the shot. Something that Chaos did really well here is you can see all four of the Tint offense are in the bubble here. And so that means that unless Chaos really crashes the bubble and has a couple of good punches, a couple of good jukes maybe, it's pretty hard to crack something like this. So it's up to, so you can see here, the first thing that they do, they make the pass down into the bubble that's crowded. And you can see this player doesn't have any support in the bubble. And so it's basically up to him to just try and juke, which doesn't happen obviously because that's a pretty hard thing to happen in 1v3 in the bubble. And you can see Chaos collects themselves, luckily, with the disc. And this time, they slow it down a little bit. Cakester waits. He baits these two players here. He's got Guygasm and White Dragon are now at the edge of the bubble. And they're both going to dive out, you see. So now the bubble's a little bit more open. They've got one player up here covering this player on the block. They got one player who just turned around on Nest. And they got this player who just got baited out of the bubble. So now it leaves up a little bit more of a lane here for the player down at the bottom to move up and get this goal placed well in the right pocket there. So even though they did make a kind of a quick pass down to the bottom and left this player kind of stranded 1v3 without any real support, they were able to recover it and then correct that mistake they made by playing it a lot slower, baiting players to the edge of the bubble. You can see this player here baits a defender over to him. This defender is no longer part of the play. The two defenders are both pressuring the disc thrower. White Dragon jumps out. Guygasm turns around. It's good from Tint, but still Cakester's able to bait that one player out. And you can see the defenders now realizing that the lane is open are trying to rush to defend it. Unfortunately, they're not able to get there fast enough, and Cass is able to get their first point of this round. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.